Hi, this is Trusted Neal with Call to Learn Conference, and we have Jeanie, Cisco, Meth with us. We're excited to have you.
I am excited to be here.
Yay! She's always been this happy person, and I can't wait to get to know more happiness. So, Jeanie, why don't you start out with telling us about your childhood? Tell us about where you came from.
I grew up on a dairy farm in Washington State, and went to private school for quite some time, Christian school, and then I went to public school, and there was a big difference, and I didn't fit in, and I was bullied a lot, and some of it was here between my ears, and a lot of it was outside of me, and so, but I got the inspiration to write the Bully-Proofing You book years later, but it caused me to go back and deal with some of that trauma, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that had caused trauma for me was actually the catalyst to my growth, and that was in elementary school. They told me that I would never finish. I was too dumb.
I never finished school.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't graduate high school.
I couldn't. There was no way I would make it.
Wow.
I had way too many learning disabilities. I had dyslexia, visual as well as auditory. I couldn't see. I was legally blind. I couldn't, and I had so many difficulties. And they said, you'll never make it through elementary school or high school.
And did you believe that?
And no, it pissed me
off.
Oh,
right. Good
and
for you.
so at the time, I was crushed. I was hurt. My parents were crushed more than me. I was in kindergarten. I didn't know what it meant. Right?
Yeah.
You're stupid. I love you. Right? I'm just happy to be at school.
Right.
And so, but as I look back on that, it was the catalyst. It was exactly what I needed to hear to say, I'm going to do it anyways.
All right, good for you.
And there's so many stories. As I started doing the research, I later became a high school teacher.
Okay.
Because I developed very specific skills as a student that I wanted to pass on to others. And so I remember going back and not only researching my youth, but other people's youth who had become very famous and were talking about, hey, I was bullied. And everyone, just about everyone without exception, had a teacher or an adult or somebody say something to them that hurt. But then, later on, they realized that was exactly what they needed to hear in that moment.
Wow.
And so Bully-Proofing You comes about from being bullied. It comes about from being a teacher. I also have children. One daughter severely dealt with bullying and depression and was suicidal for many, many years. And my son also, who is 6'11", you never would think he was bullied, was severely bullied in middle school as well.
And did you know that at the time?
I did. And what we found out was, you would think, who would bully him? He's huge.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if the small kid beats him up, right, they're the toughest kid in the school. But if Max retaliates, who's the bully? So Max was always blamed if he would act out back. And so a lot of the tips that were developed in Bully-Proofing You came about in helping my son learn how to deal with bullies.
Oh.
And so
which helped you
to go
which
back.
helped wow,
Yeah.
Okay.
And also as a teacher, I worked in a very, very difficult population. I worked at an alternative school. And so it was the kids who really needed it.
Yeah.
Their parents were on drugs. Most of them were on drugs. They had kids. They were in the system. You know, they were in gangs. And that is where I learned that it's the personal value. Is it okay if I show you? Okay.
Yeah.
So in my book, I developed a pyramid. And this is the pyramid. And on the bottom is personal value. Because that's the foundation on which everything is built. If I believe in me, if I decide who I am, then you can't tell me who I am.
Yeah. So you have to know who you are first before you can do anything else in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
great.
So you make that decision. I'm valuable. Stop letting other people decide your value. You decide.
Awesome.
And then perspective. How do you see things? Are you letting someone else tell you who you are? Are you listening to God?
Yeah.
He tells you who you are. You are divine. You are divine. And then planned responses, and then practice. You got to practice.
And practice.
Then practice. You're never done. And so
I like that the arrows are both ways.
Yeah, because you got to practice all of them all the time.
Yeah.
And so that was developed as a teacher and as a parent, and implemented with some of the most difficult students there are,
yeah.
and it works.
That's wonderful.
It's incredible.
That's great. So you've told us a lot about you. So tell us about your family, like
so
your
I have 4 children,
okay.
2 biological and 2 step, and our youngest just left to college.
Aww.
We miss him. And he is 6'11".
So is it 2 girls, 2 boys? Is that what?
Yeah. No, we have 3 boys and 1 girl.
Okay.
And so most of them are out of the home. Well, all of them are out of the home now. Max is playing basketball up in Washington. He's our 6'11".
Awesome.
And then my daughter Erin here lives local. She helps me with my mom. My mom has lived with us for 4 years, and she's going to UVU.
Okay.
And then I have an older son. My husband has an older son. He's my stepson. He lives in Colorado. And he has our first granddaughter.
Oh, yay.
And then we have another son that is in between Erin and Max, and his name is Josh, and he lives up in Clearfield. Okay. And he recently got married, and she had a small boy from. So we actually have 2 grandchildren.
2 grandchildren.
Yeah.
Yay!
No, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. Are they really, really young? Like babies?
No. Well, my granddaughter is now, her name's Chloe.
Okay.
She's the first female born in the Meth line in over 200 years.
What?
I know, crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, and she is 6 now, so she's pretty young, but not way little. And then Gabe, Josh's stepson or son, he is 5.
Okay. Still cute age.
Oh, yeah. They're so much fun.
I still have a 6-year-old, and I just, please don't grow anymore.
No, because
it's such a perfect age.
Each year is the perfect age.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, it really is, because I used to think that, this is the perfect age, and then, this is the perfect age.
Yeah.
And, it's neat.
Great stages.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, wonderful. And then you also told us that you're a high school teacher.
Yes.
So tell us about that career. What got you into that?
So as I told you before, I had a lot of struggles in school. And I had one teacher, I talk about him in my book. I had one teacher, I had a lot of teachers. But one teacher that really stood out for me was my health teacher and my basketball coach. Okay. And when I transitioned from private school to public school, it was still, the public school was still very small. There was 25 people in my class. But I was 6 foot tall. And so you can imagine what the basketball coach thought, right? Yay! And he was so excited to have me there, and so excited to have me be part of the team. And I had never played organized sports. Wow! And so, but his belief in me helped me believe in me, and the way he helped shape us and mold us as a young team was just incredible. Yeah. Incredible. And I owe a lot to him.
Wow,
I really do.
That's neat.
Many people, but him especially.
So because of him, you decided to be a high school student, a high school teacher? Really?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I thought, my first year of teaching, I was offered a position at American Fork High School as their basketball coach, the female basketball coach. I worked with Rick Majerus for a few years at the University of Utah. And so I had some pretty good credentials as a basketball coach. And they wanted me, and I sat down and I prayed about it. And I was like, Lord, and it came to me that, well, you want to be a teacher to help. So where more to help than at the alternative high? And so I took the position at Summit High. I was there for 15 years. I also did a year at Independence High, which is Provo's alternative high school. And then I also did a year at Roland Mark, which is the high-end Catholic school. Okay. And the one thing I learned is kids are kids. And they all have issues. They're all dealing with stuff.
So true.
Some more than others. But you're also really resilient. Yeah. And if you're given the tools, you can learn how to change your life. And that's part of what went into this book too. Tools that you can use to empower yourself, to learn that you do have a purpose. I truly believe that this world is made up of a fabric, and each one of us are weaving part of that story, part of that tapestry. And if we don't live our purpose, we leave a hole that no one else can fill. And so, I mean,
that's beautiful.
If you think about that for a moment, how many holes have been left? Yeah. Because they played small. Because they were listening to the devil on their shoulder that said, you can't do that. Instead of the angel saying, you need to. Yeah. This is your story. You need to write it. You need to live it. Stop playing small. Step up. This is your calling.
That's wonderful. One part of my mantra that I say every morning is, you have a work that no other can do. Now get up and go.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
exactly.
love that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that became very clear. I feel very, very blessed that God gave me this message and then gave me the courage to see it through.
Yeah.
But that was very clear because I kept saying, but Lord, there's so many people that do anti-bullying stuff. There's and He's like, yeah, but not the way you can.
Yeah,
You have a unique voice. Yeah.
You have the work.
Yeah, you have
no
a work.
one other can do. No. Yeah. Exactly.
And each person in this whole world has a work.
Yeah. Yeah.
They need to do.
To subscribe to our YouTube channel, click here. To choose from our gifts and request updates on our most popular topics, visit calledtolearn.com. For more videos like this one, click this playlist. For Table Talk discussions, choose this playlist.